Remember, you are stronger than you think. Don't believe me? We're about to prove it. Welcome back. This is Jen Lee, creator and host of I Need Blue podcast, True Crime to True Life. As a survivor of armed robbery and abduction, I understand the trauma and triggers survivors experience. Knowing this, and through my powerful podcast, I offer survivors a safe place to share their lived experiences. Survivors need blue to feel they belong, they are loved, understood, and my favorite, empowered. Please note, I Need Blue does contain sensitive topics which could be triggering. Please seek help if needed, and remember, you always come first. I Need Blue episodes can be found on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and many listening platforms, including my website, www.ineedblue.net. There, you will find all the episodes, valuable resources, safety tips, my newly released book and ebook, Why I Survived by Jennifer Lee. And if your passion is to learn to podcast, you will find a Learn to Podcast PDF available as well. I would like to thank Shar Good, the talented violinist who composed and performed this opening music. You can find information about Shar Good on my website. As always, thank you for listening. Today's story is about surviving domestic violence. If the message moves you, I encourage you to share the story with one friend or family member and remind them they too are stronger than they think. If you or someone you know is in an abusive relationship, call the National Domestic Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. There is someone available 24/7. I have covered the topic of domestic violence before, each story unique in its own way. Today's story is no exception. Melissa thought she met the man of her dreams, and quickly they went from dating to marriage. Everything changed, and now the woman Melissa saw staring back at her in the mirror was covered in bruises. She worked hard to hide and cover the bruises on her neck from regularly being choked out. During her pregnancy, the abuse turned mostly verbal, only to return to violence once again after the baby was born. There are many more details to this story which Melissa will share. While you listen, you may find you are in this situation yourself or know of someone who needs help. There is an important positive message of strength, adversity, regaining independence, and finding inner peace within this episode. And Melissa can't wait to share it with you. On that note, Melissa, welcome to the I Need Blue podcast.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so glad that we've had the opportunity to connect. I'd like to start off talking about the honeymoon stage. If people aren't familiar, it's that butterflies in the stomach. You can't wait to spend every minute with each other. And I find some people have a very long honeymoon stage and some people have a very short one. So, Melissa, can you tell us about your honeymoon stage?
Absolutely. So my honeymoon phase wasn't very long, but it was a stint that was on and off. There were red flags that I ignored, but it was because I really just desperately wanted something that maybe wasn't there. And it was the text messages, the phone calls, that feeling that you get because they're saying things to you, calling you beautiful and making you feel like you are so special and you are all these things I didn't see in myself. So I had this person making me feel like I was that special someone, something that I just did not see in me. I did not feel before. So of course he was really good at getting me to a place that I just didn't know of.
And in the process, you said that there were some red flags. So Did you know they were red flags at the time, or now looking back, you recognize the red flags?
There was a part of me who knew they were kind of wrong, but I think I was so blinded that I didn't want to believe them. And I had people who were like, I don't know. And I'd be like, no, no, it's okay. But I knew, and I ignored them.
Can you give us an example of one of the red flags?
Oh, sure. The way he would speak to me, if he was upset or angry, he would lash out at me and he would like call me a name, or he would take out anger at me. And then I would use that as like, oh, he's just in a bad mood, or it's okay. It's okay. But in reality, it's not okay. We have bad days, but it's one thing to be aggressive in nature, even through phone calls and hanging up and acting kind of immature or not being able to handle a true conversation. But I took it as like, oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. Like I must have said something to make him upset. And the next day I would be like, oh, hey, beautiful. Or, oh, I'm sorry. And of course, in my head, I'm like, oh, it's okay. We're good.
So how long did your honeymoon stage last?
I would say our honeymoon phase really lasted probably a good 5 months. And then in person, like where we were full-time in person together because we had lived separately, probably a month.
Okay. So yeah, that is a little bit short, like you were kind of telling me earlier. Where were you at in your life during that time? Were you feeling lonely, like you were seeking companionship, very independent, like I don't need anybody? Like where were you at?
I was very conflicted individual. I had just come off losing a lot of weight. I had been severely overweight. I just lost like 80 pounds. I was in a transition. I had been in a relationship for several years and it abruptly ended. And I just was in this state of mind that I was not healthy with myself. I was somebody who didn't have a lot of self-confidence, period. Just didn't feel good about me. Even after losing that weight, I would have thought that I felt good about myself, but it wasn't enough. And I really looked at others to kind of help build myself up instead of looking to myself. So now I'm here in Florida. We're living together, trying to find this job. And I don't know anybody here in Florida besides him. I had met some of his friends. At this point, we end up going to go get married, which again, I don't understand myself when I look back at this, why I thought that was such a great idea, but I did it. And it was just at the courthouse. And so this is like a month and a half in. And it wasn't until that day, that was kind of a turning point day in our entire relationship. It was not bad necessarily the day, it was the night. And that's where the entire cycle of my abuse takes a turn. And that's where the turn goes very south.
Okay. So your wedding night.
Yes.
Can you share what happened?
Yeah. So we go to celebrate, and we always go to this place. It's kind of like a pub, and we used to play poker with some of our friends, and we do karaoke, and it was like a place where we just kind of had fun. So we went there, and I saw our friends, and we were having a great time. I had inclinations and notions that he was possibly talking to other people, and I always just kept it hidden. But of course, I find out that night when I approach him about it, and there has been alcohol in situations, that's when the abuse really takes on not just a verbal form of anything, that took on physical form. And that was the first time that I had been severely beaten to a point that I didn't even know what to do. In my mind, I was shocked. I didn't know what this was. I have never had anybody lay hands on me in the manner of which they were laid, not just shoving and pushing, but we're talking choking, we're talking slamming me to a wall. We're talking to a point that, yeah, I had an extreme amount of bruising. I thought to myself, what do you do when you don't know anybody and you're 3,000 miles away from your family?
Isolation.
Yes, very isolated. You don't want to tell anybody. because that's what we do as victims. You don't want to tell your family that like, hey, nothing's working out. I'm 3,000 miles away. You can't come get me, but I need help. Like you don't do that because you already know they thought it was a bad idea to begin with. And now you're kind of in this situation. So I'm kind of stubborn. And so I don't want them to know.
Did he meet any of your family? Because it sounds like he did meet some of your friends that you had there locally, but did he meet any of your family or any of your friends that you had had for a long time outside of where you were located right now?
Yeah, we had been flying back and forth. So I had flown here. He had flown to California. He actually did the drive with me from California to Florida. He had spent time in California. So he had met my parents, met my family, has met my friends. I'm surprised that we survived a 4-day road trip and nothing had happened because, that's a long time to be in cars with people. That's why it's such a shock that this turn happens now that I'm here and it's been a month and a half. And then all of a sudden, when I catch somebody and their lies, the beating starts to happen.
So when you say you catch him in the lies, this night, your wedding night, you're out at a bar with friends, and did you confront him about, was he actually seeing somebody else that you saw in that bar, or what made him so angry?
It was his phone. I knew something was up with the phone, and I figured that he was talking to other people or maybe still on dating sites. I mean, this happens especially when you meet online or do dating sites. And in reality is I actually met him through a Christian chat room where I have friends. It was a group where we would get together and talk. It wasn't a dating site. And he just happened to get in there and kind of befriend me. We would talk all the time. It was not intentional of finding a relationship. That's why I say that they feed a lot on insecurities, because he knew me. He knew me as a Christian, and he knew me as somebody who had the things that I was going through. I knew immediately that when he was continuously on this phone and his phone was lighting up and the different things, like I knew what it was. And that's when I said, like, this is a great time for this to be happening. Like, we're supposed to be having fun. We just literally got married. And this whole time it's been like, oh, no, 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 no. And then it all just went downhill.
And that night, did he blow up then when you were alone in private, or did he show anger and agitation in front of your friends at the bar as well?
Oh, no, it was only in private.
I wanted to go back quickly to your parents, because a lot of times those looking into situations can see things that we don't see. We're blinded by love, blinded by whatever you want to call it. Your parents had met him, I assume, a couple of times. What was their thoughts?
I don't think that they really necessarily liked him. I think they thought they didn't know him well enough to really judge it, but they thought that it wasn't the best idea. However, they're like, you're old enough to make your own decisions. And my dad's words specifically were kind of like, you're going to be 3,000 miles away. I can't help you get out of these situations. When this started happening, that it was like, okay, they've already told me they can't help me. I don't want people to know because nobody's going to be able to help me. Like, I'm too far away. So I think that really sunk in, is it's like, okay, now it is really me here against this world. So I just tried to hide it, even knowing their sentiments. Like, I knew going into this, it probably wasn't a good idea from the standpoint of my family, my friends, everyone. But again, we are definitely blind when you're in that situation.
Absolutely. So now, sadly, you're at home and you're supposed to be your wedding night, and you're laying there bloody and battered and bruised. What do you do?
I was shocked, and all he could do is cry, telling me he's so sorry and he doesn't know what happened. He's never done this before. He apologized. It was complete, typical control mechanism and manipulation of, I'll never touch you like that again. I'm so sorry. It must be the alcohol. Like, I don't know what got into me. I've never done this before. And of course, me in that moment is like, okay, and just believing it, because I don't know what else to do. I don't know how else to live at this point. I don't have a job. I don't have any other means. I mean, I had money that, yes, I had some before I got there, but it wasn't anything that was going to get me anywhere else. Like I just didn't know what to do.
Right.
So I just listened and I believed.
He was your savior in a way. You know, you're 3,000 miles away from home. He knew that. You didn't have a job. He knew that.
Yes.
You needed him. That's how he saw this. So what happened next?
The next couple of weeks were good for me because I got a job interview and he was extremely nice, right? So now we're back to honeymoon phase. Things are great. I got this job. And then I find out I'm pregnant. And it's scary for me because I didn't realize how quickly, because of previously, it took me so long to get pregnant previously, that I was like, how the heck did this happen? Like, I mean, 2 years for my first one, and this one took me 30 days. I was like, okay, I'm pregnant now. I just got a job. And I find out the day before I start my job. So, of course, you walk into your new job and it's like, okay, hi, yeah, I'm pregnant, by the way. So in 9 months, just expect I'm going to have a baby. And of course, they were amazing.
Great.
Amazing place to work. And they were like, oh, it's not a problem. So this became an outlet for me. My job was kind of a saving grace. I look at it as if I didn't have that job, I probably would not be alive.
Well, I'm glad that you found that job. I truly believe we are put in particular places at particular times when they're supposed to happen. Do you feel that that was the situation with this job?
Oh, yes. This job taught me things about myself, gave me a little bit more confidence in me, my abilities, what I could do. But they also saw what was happening, even when I tried to cover it up.
So they saw through it.
Yeah.
What did they do? Did they ever come to you and ask you about what they thought was going on?
It took 1.5 years for them to really realize. So during my pregnancy, they wouldn't have known because it was more verbal. It was not super physical. It was definitely verbal. He became this lazy individual who could not hold a job. So now like the work was even more pressure for me, which was fine because I loved being there and I really stepped up my game. They saw it, then I started getting promotions. I put so much into my job because it was my safe place to be. It was where I wanted to be. But the minute that I had my child and the minute that I go back to work after my maternity leave, the things started happening. It was threats of, you need to come home or I'm going to harm myself. I'm going to take out all these things and just making it so that when I was at work, it was a manipulation tactic to get me away from my safe place. And my boss became very aware. He at times would be like, it's not even safe for you to go home. But he's like, but I can't necessarily tell you not to. He kind of knew, but he didn't know. Like I didn't say anything to him. I just would tell him like, oh, he's having a moment because he knew he had some forms of maybe PTSD, but he didn't really know. So I would cover it up more and I would wear long sleeves. I would do all these things. And we live in Florida. It's hot. I'm wearing long sleeves. And like, I would be like, oh, the buildings are cold. They started to kind of get it. Like after a while, they're like, you're wearing long sleeves. And I'd be like, oh yeah, it's cold in here. So eventually people started to catch on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd never been in that situation. We're talking a girl from a small town, from a family that, has been together their whole lives. This is not something I've ever seen in my life. I've never been through this. I've never witnessed anything like this. I mean, I literally was in shock that this is something I'm living through.
Right. This is stuff we saw on TV, right?
Yeah, this is Lifetime. This is not real life. This is Lifetime.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I used to watch Oprah and I would watch the stories, domestic violence stories, and I would sit there and I would say, well, just leave. Like, I don't understand why you're not leaving. Just leave. And then I ended up in a situation myself, and I realized quickly how you can't just leave. It's not that simple.
I get that a lot from people. They're like, well, you could have just left. Like, I had that a lot. No, until you're in it, you have no idea what you're talking about. None whatsoever. Until you've seen somebody go through it and witness everything, you have no idea. The manipulation tactics, the fear, the financial strains, the things that they do to make your life so hard, it's the least thing you think about.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't seek medical help because then also people would know, right? So you have to keep this a secret. But then I have to imagine that in the beginning, law enforcement probably wasn't called either because you don't want to get him in trouble, right? He's apologizing. He says he loves me. I don't want to create problems. Were you going through that as well?
Yeah. But see, this is where it starts to change drastically on a flip side. So now that I'm starting to have this job and getting a little bit more confidence in who I am as a person, my personality is changing. I am more concerned about protecting a child than I am even myself at this point. I have confided in my mom and I have told her. They came to visit after my son had been born and they saw his arguing with me. They saw his physical nature, his aggressive side. My dad's had to step in at this point. And this is when my son's an infant. You can't hide it anymore. They've seen it. He told them, well, it's this and this is why. And when I saw all these things, and he would break down crying and talk about all these things. There's been times I'm back to work when he would pull those things to try to get me to come home. I would call law enforcement. Then he would be like, oh, you're calling the cops. Like, okay, cool. Cause I'm going to tell them you hit me too. And then we're just going to have our kid taken away from us and we're both going to go to jail. So now I have this other manipulation tactic. So when the cops would come, I would tell the police, oh no, I'm sorry. Like, it's okay. It's okay. They would pull me aside. They'd give me some information for a shelter or domestic violence group to go to. And then they would tell me like, this is in California. Like, this is how this works here. And just explain to me things. It took a while and things had kept progressing from not just choking. And now I'm being punched in the face. I mean, slammed, things being broken. My safe place became a bathroom. I would lock myself with my son in a bathroom. It didn't matter if my child was in my arms, like he would still come at me. So at this point, I'm realizing like he just doesn't care. Like he has one track mind and it doesn't matter. Like he has this mentality of what he set out to do and he's going to do it regardless. Through all of this, I'm starting to think like, okay, I got to tell more people. No, I don't want to do that. I was like, no, I need to go to counseling. So we got married 2013. My son was born December of 2013. And now by July of 2015, I decided to seek help through counseling. That ultimately was the next step of this whole saving myself.
And at this point, I know you said previously he was not working. So is he a stay-at-home dad at this point?
No, he's one of those on and off again, working, not working. He couldn't hold a job. If he was not working, it would be like, oh, you're going to take care of the kid. But I put my son in daycare because I just didn't trust him to be home with him permanently. There'd be days I'd come home and he'd still be sleeping and I'd be like, where's the child? And the child would still be at daycare. So I'd have to drive back out there to go pick up the child. So his neglect of the child was full force. Like there was nothing. He was doing nothing. So then he tried to go to school, but that didn't work out because he couldn't even go to his classes.
Did you ever fear for your child that he would hurt your child?
Oh, yeah. His motives when we would have these fights, he would be so aggressive. It didn't matter if my son was in my arms. Like his child was in my arms and it didn't matter. And I'll remember when he shoved me one time while I was trying to shut the bathroom door, he pushed it open and he shoved me so hard, my son hit the shower door. And it's like, he's a baby. Like, this is crazy. Like, you don't care. Like, you could care less if anything happened.
Did you have people accuse you of not protecting your child?
No, that's the one thing that I did not have because they knew that everything I have done, I've done for my child. I risk everything for that boy. I would do anything and everything to ensure he's safe, to ensure, he's healthy, happy. He doesn't even know any of this stuff, even now. And now he's 9.
So you went to therapy and you said that now became the next step in your journey. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, I met a woman therapist who I originally was like, oh, therapy is just going to be like nonchalant. This isn't going to work. The first day I walked in there, she said, Why are you in a shitty relationship? And why do you stay in one? I immediately sat there and thought to myself, this is going to change my life. This person is not like, oh, so why are you here? This person is, you're in something, and why are you in it? We are not going to sit here and let you stay in this. So we're going to work and find out why. For the next several weeks, now we're talking summertime of 2015, worked on plans, how to get out, get your own bank account, figure out ways to not put yourself in vulnerable situations with this person. And the more strength I started building, the worse things became, because I was no longer the manipulative victim to him. I was becoming this strong person who was pushing back. And I'll never forget, we were in IKEA, of all places, and he threw the biggest fit ever, threw keys in my face, walked out, drained my bank account, because we still had a joint one as I was working on all this stuff, and just left. And I was standing there going like, okay, so he drained my bank account. I have the child. That was my paycheck. That was everything. I used a tactic on him to get the money back. I went and picked him up, took him to the house, told him to get his stuff, that I would be right back, collect it, went to the bank, immediately got this personal account, transferred everything over, told him to go to his parents' house in Georgia and don't come back. And he left. And I thought, this is it. I'm free. I'm going to be good. I got a new car. He doesn't really know my car now. I'm good. I'm free. That's what I thought. Little did I know that was not the end.
Can I ask, talking about therapy, what was the first thing that you need to do so we can get you out of this?
We had to have a survival plan. So basically separating yourself from him. So it started really like my lease, getting him off my lease. So now this place is just mine. Getting myself the bank account so that it's just mine. It was working on getting everything separated so that when I could leave or get him out, there was no ties.
Gotcha. And were you able to do that without him knowing? How did you get him to agree to taking his name off the lease and things like that? I'm just thinking for people listening who are like, wow, I didn't think about that, but I don't know how I would go about that. I think he would argue with me. I don't know how she did that.
I mean, I was blessed. And that's something that I just really, really think God watched out for me, is that the landlord maintenance man that happened to become a friend of mine, he and his wife used to come over to fix things all the time. He kind of could hear stuff. And one day he really heard a fight. He was coming over and he heard it all. The next time he came over, my ex at the time was gone now. Like I had kicked him out. And he asked me some questions. And I said, hey, is there any possibility that I could get his name off this lease? I said, this is what's happening. And he goes, well, I didn't want to say anything, but I heard it all. And he goes, yeah, I will get his name off this for you. This is not okay. I said, really? And he was like, yeah. All I had to do was ask. Ultimately, I'm going to tell you right now, one thing that we just don't think about in world and in life is just ask. It doesn't hurt to ask. And what you think you know is sometimes what you don't know. I didn't know he heard all this. I didn't know he knew anything. How would I have known? The fact that he did know, he wasn't going to tell me that he knew my personal business. But the thing is that until I asked, I wouldn't have known that.
Don't assume, right?
Yeah, you cannot assume. So you just don't assume. You just have to ask. So I was able to do that. He no longer was attached to that place. And, now he's gone, and I have all these things that are now just all solely mine. Nothing is his. But even though he's not there, the manipulation is still there. He's still calling and he's still texting, and we're still technically married. Like at this point, it's still all there. As we all know in this situation, whenever they leave, they usually come back. It's not a one and done. It's never cut and dry. Usually we take them back. We feel that's an easier road to go because, yeah, they're going to change. They say they're going to change. It's never going to happen. And we believe that story.
Right.
And I did.
We want to believe it because we want to believe people are good.
Yeah.
But not everybody is good. People need help, you know?
Yeah. And so, I take him back, and part of me taking him back, he coerced me into getting him a car that was both our names on it because the other one was so bad, and he left it at his dad's house and his parents' house. So I had to go all the way up and pick him up. It was dumb. It was really dumb stuff. And I'm smart enough to know that like this was ridiculous. Like, why would I have been so blinded? But it was the fact that I didn't want to get into another argument. I didn't want to go through repeat patterns. So at this point, I'm just going to give in and give you whatever you want because I just don't want to go through the abuse. Oh, I'll just do this, just do this. By November of 2015, we had the worst fight because I said something sarcastic. It's a blur for me, a lot of it, because it was so bad that I remember telling him, you better get out. You better go to this job that you have. You better get out now. And I'm telling you, don't come back. If you have a friend, you better go stay there. And I called the police. And for the first time, I did a report. And in that moment's notice, I said to myself, you can do this. You do not have to live this way. And I told the police everything, got my report.
Melissa, I have to ask you because I know you had called the police several times before, and every time he had manipulated you to basically back down because, they would take the child away, all of those other things. But now you have found the courage to call the police and file the report. What was the reaction from law enforcement?
This police officer was kind of shocked because he's like, I've seen that we've been out here many times. He was a very nice man. My son was around too. So, he was really good to my son. But for me, it was kind of like they looked at me and they're like, in a way, what made this different? And I mean, in that moment, I said, well, first of all, he's not here. Like, I have free reign to talk to you. I don't feel like I can't talk. All the other times he had been around. So I had been in those more manipulative situations. And so when I had told them and they were just like, well, we're definitely going to take this report. And what do you want me to do next? And they were very, very, very good, very detailed, very wanting to know everything. And on top of it, they gave my son a little police hat. And I think I still have it. It kind of brought this thing for my son to see the light of what police officers do in such a good light, that he knows how helping they are, how important they are. So it was kind of a really great moment. They were happy to see I finally did something. They were great to my son. My son got this whole newfound thing for police officers. He wanted to be one for a very long time. So it was really, truly a moment, not just for me, but kind of the whole situation.
That is amazing. I love to hear that. I think sometimes we forget how much we really need our law enforcement until we really need them, right? And so that whole story just warms my heart. Thank you so much.
Yes. I went to work the next day. I don't even know how I made it to work the next day. I was in such bad shape, I could barely walk. My boss pulled me in his office and said, do you know that you're lucky to be alive through this? Like, I know somebody who was in the hospitals, who were all these things. Like, you need to take this seriously. You need to not take him back. You need to do these things. And he's like, I'm just talking to you from a dad perspective. And I said, I know. He's like, you don't have to be here today. Like, you don't need to be here. And I'm like, no, I want to be here. I need to live my life. Like, I'm not going to not live my life. Like, this person is not going to make it so I can't live. That's when I really started to notice that my strength was getting stronger, and I'm still going to counseling. The counseling at that point was really getting stronger and stronger. It was getting tougher and tougher. Like, I was missing some of my appointments because I knew I took them back, and I didn't want to tell her because she was so tough on me. And it wasn't tough bad. It was tough good. Like, if I didn't have her, I don't know that I would be completely out. Between my work and her, it was my saving grace, literally my saving grace.
Yeah, well, you reached out and asked for help, and that's great. But I also don't want to shortchange you because lots of people can go to therapy. But if you're not willing to do the work, if you're not willing to look yourself in the mirror and realize and have to face some really hard things, you won't get better. You won't change the patterns. But you did.
Correct.
Yes.
It's very tough. And, I went home for Christmas that year and I told him he needed to get the rest of his stuff out. Like, I'm not going to be there. When I came home, he was there. And I was like, this was not an open invitation to take you back. This was an invitation for you to be gone. So now I'm just battering this whole, like, I need you gone. Like, you can't be here. When I start back up with therapy, I'm telling her, and she looked at me dead in the eyes and said, we can play this two ways. You can kick him out or I can put you in hiding. Which one do you want? I tell you what, when I heard the word put you in hiding, I thought to myself, what is she talking about? I'm not like those girls. Like, what does she mean? I'm not like those kind of victims. I'm just in this situation. It didn't ever dawn on me that I was never going to escape if I didn't just somehow get out or hide. Like, this person was always going to be around. In that moment, I think the reality slapped me in the face. And I thought to myself, I am not going into hiding. I am not running from my life. Like, what? I have to change everything? Can't have my job? Can't have my car? Can't have my friends? I mean, I have to change my life because of him? It's either you stand up and you take a stand, or you're going to have to lose everything you ever had. I was like, okay, this is the middle of January towards the end. I'm now getting letters from the district attorney's office. I'm calling them saying, like, I need him gone. I cannot go through with this while he's here. This is a life or death situation. And they were like, well, if you don't want to, I mean, we could try to move forward without you. Like, it was just kind of this teeter-totter. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get him out of this house so I can move forward. There was one last blow up. And I just remember he got me to the ground and I looked at him and I said, why don't you just kill me? Like, I haven't figured that out yet. Like, you've had all these opportunities and you've had all these games and you've done all these things and I just don't understand. And he goes, oh, because I love you. And it really clicked in my head that day. This man is sick. This man is far beyond anything I could ever have imagined. I can't even understand the thought process. That's when I packed up his stuff in black garbage bags, gave him $50 and told him, don't you ever come back here because it will be not pretty. Go. And he never came back.
Wow.
I don't know how I did that, but there was some real deep-seated strength that I did not know I had. I just knew I was not going to give up everything I worked hard for, all those promotions I was able to get at work because of me, all the things I learned, my child, this life. I was not going to do it all because he thinks this is what love is.
Good for you. I listen to you and I pray that every person that is in a suffering domestic violence situation like yours can find the strength that you have and be connected with people like the therapist, like your landlord, all of those people along the lines that helped you, that, like you said, weren't even aware. You didn't even know that they were aware of your situation, like your landlord.
Yeah, people really don't know. And the biggest thing about it all is that when you come down to it all, there's a lot more strength that we all have inside of us. It's just hiding in there sometimes, and it takes a little bit to move it. You don't need a lot. You just need a little.
Yeah. I end every one of my episodes with the saying, you are stronger than you think.
Oh, yes.
Because really you are.
And, it wasn't like, oh, he's gone and everything's perfect. No, there was a long, long road ahead of me, a lot of therapy, a lot of PTSD that I had to get over, a lot of panic attacks. I'm still living in this place that holds all these memories. Like, every room has a certain memory. Like, I couldn't go to the bathroom and shut the door because that was my safe zone. So I had a fear that he would be on the other side. So now I'm going through special types of therapy to try to retrain my thought process, like, so I could live in this house. And I'm going out and buying different things and re-looking at my apartment differently. I would change up my driving patterns. I started looking at everything differently. safe words, safe codes, sitting and facing doors. I started living a way different life, a way safer life. The thought of the fact that I don't know, this person could show up again. He didn't, but the thought is I didn't know. I didn't know when it could have happened.
Do you know where he is?
I do. I got served documents because after 2 years, he decided he wanted to see his child. I mean, we're divorced. He didn't show up to the divorce. He didn't show up for a lot of things, but all of a sudden he wanted to start seeing his child. And he didn't go through the process of even what was laid out in our divorce, but it was a fight that I fight even to this day. I think that what people need to understand, you are a survivor when you get out, but you still have to deal if you have a child with that person. It's not the end, but it's a different form of handling. I don't look at myself as his victim anymore.
And how are you dealing with the whole transition then now? I'm assuming he's able to see his child?
Yeah, and that's been a process. He had supervised time sharing for very little at a facility. And then it moved into, he had to show that he's been able to change as a person. And this is a person who's a repeat offender. And I didn't know that until after, when I started doing a lot more research. And I encourage everyone to research people before you get yourself into a relationship. There's a lot of things we don't know. And if I would have known that he had battery and assaults and he had domestic violence prior to me. It finally just got to a point where he was able to have like 50-50. And it's because we have a new judge. I'm not saying he's good where he is now, because he's not. He hasn't changed. He's still the same person. He still tries to control me. He still sends me really awful messages. But it's to a point where he can only talk to me through a court-ordered app. So I've got myself to a place where I'm more in control of this kind of relationship. He can't just come to my house. He can't just talk to me. He can't just call me. He can't just text me. Everything's recorded. It's ultimately like a restraining order in a way,
right?
But not.
Absolutely. Well, it protects you the best you can, and as well as your child.
Yes. The court systems are not the best, but I'm telling you, if you're in the situation, fighting is all you have, but it's worth it.
Where are you today?
Me today is so night and day different. I mean, transitionally, I am 100% not the same person. I mean, my friends back home in California, when they see me, they're just like, who is this person? I 100% don't even look the same physically, for one, because anybody knows that when you go through abuse, you do look different. Like, you are not yourself. So transition, I mean, I'm different weight-wise. I'm definitely more healthy, more active, happy. Church, I mean, I got really back into church. My new faith, I'm really back into that, where I was when I was in California. So that plays a huge part, the strength from God and going to church and being around my church family. Even my son, he's very active in church. My career has taken off. I am loving what I do for my job. I have this newfound self-growth in me. The strength that I have gone through all of this is amazing. To see where I am personally, the not having the insecurities, to finally see myself as a woman, that I think I'm pretty. Like, that was a revelation for me. I'm wholeheartedly a different, strong, independent mom.
I love it. You can hear it in your voice because I can't see you, but I know the smile, and I am sending you a big hug. I just think you're amazing. You inspire me. I am so glad you came on and shared your story.
I appreciate it. It's wonderful. If I could do anything to help people, I do it. I do that, like, even in my job for a living, is helping and growing and succeeding things. And what I've been able to accomplish, even just being able to own a home and to be able to finally buy a brand new car. Like, these are things that I never thought I would be able to do because of the situations I had before. Every time something good was about to happen, it would be like, I have to go back to court. Like, he wanted to take me back to court. So all these financial things that just kept popping up. All of a sudden, it's just like a whole weight has been lifted off. I have so many new things in life, so many different avenues I get to go down, all these goals I'm obtaining, even still going back to college. And that's something else that people need to know you can do all these things no matter what age you are, no matter what you have gone through. It is always there. If you have goals, don't let it stop you.
Love it. You know what, Melissa, I was thinking, if you're okay with it, I would love to end this episode with a prayer for strength.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and for people not to miss signs.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because I think those signs really helps you along the way. And sometimes we're so distracted in life, we miss the little signs that God sends us. If you would lead us in prayer.
Okay, great. Dear Lord, please give those who need that extra strength, guide them and know that they have it within themselves. Show them that they can do it. Guide them with your signs. Although sometimes they are small, the small signs are very important. Let them know that those who come into their life may be something more than just someone that's telling them something. Lead them to all that they can do, to strength, to you, to the powers of things that can help them grow, get out of all situations. Anything that can help them through any hardships, any storms, let them see the light. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. And I have to say that you will hear ducks in the background, or birds rather, because that's like that's like God's way of saying, listen, I hear you, because the birds are right outside your window. And I think that it's beautiful. We brought nature to this episode. We brought God to this episode, and God brought us together. And I thank you, Melissa, for being my guest today.
I appreciate it so much. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely. This is Jen Lee, creator and host of I Need Blue podcast. To check out all of my episodes, you can find me on all of your podcast platforms, but also on my website, www.ineedblue.net. And remember, you are stronger than you think. Until next time.